ASCII Entertainment.
Welcome everyone to Kingsfield 3. I don't care what that title screen says, it's Kingsfield 3.
Darkness fell upon the land of Verdite. Its once lush forests and great mountains now bowed before the will of the fallen Holy King. No one could explain the fall of the king. 15 years ago, Alfred had slain Verdite's festering evil and had risen triumphant as the new king. Now Verdite watched in horror as the ancient evil returned in the form of their king. They cried out for Alexander, who had brought back the Moonlight Sword 5 years ago. The foul stench of evil permeated the tower as Alex ventured forth to take up the Holy Sword. It was too late. The sword was broken. With the Moonlight Sword broken, Alex prepared for his meeting with Destiny. He bestowed upon the Chosen Four the powers necessary to protect the kingdom. The castle began to shimmer with the brilliance of light as Alex's will was directed at its proud walls. He uttered a final word: peace. And the rest was silence. With his final thoughts, Alex sent these words to Lyle, the king's son. Lyle, in the days ahead, you must grow stronger than you ever thought you could. You must receive the power from before and break my seal to face your father. I will guide you with the hours of hand. You must take up the sword of your father and win back your kingdom. The future is in your hands. With this, Alex gave up his soul. For 10 years, Lyle carried the burden of being prince to a damned kingdom. Now old enough to understand the message etched in his mind forever, it's time he faced his destiny.
The power of the seal for which Alexander gave his life is growing weaker. The number of evil creatures is steadily growing larger. If we allow that to happen, the country will be enveloped by total darkness as your father unleashes his power in 10 years of pent-up rage on his land. For the past 10 years, since the fateful day of the seal, I have been watching you grow. I am excited, but at the same time afraid that the day has finally come for you to fulfill your destiny. Please take this with you, this final sword, the Excellector. I am praying that your journey will be guided by the light. Okay, welcome to Kingsfield 3. We have a lot to go over real quick. Well, actually, a lot to go over. I don't think it's going to be very quick. The first thing is, take everything you just heard and throw it in the trash. The translation is less than good. The voiceover is inserted for the American version. The Japanese version does not have that voiceover. It's just a bunch of title cards. We're just going to go over what those title cards mean in just a second. I went through Google Lens and translated everything out of that opening sequence. So we'll just go over that real fast. First, let's go over on previously on Kingsfield. In Kingsfield 1, John Alfred Forrester's father goes into the Catacombs of Verdite, which was where the High Elves used to put their honored dead, along with the dragon savior of the land. He got passed to Verdite, and they basically made it a catacomb. The former king of that area sent his entire army into those catacombs to search for a magical artifact, of which it turns out it was the Moonlight Sword, which was in the Forrester family line the entire time. John Alfred goes in to look for his father. We find that his father is dead, and we meet Miria and Guyra, who restored the Hauser family sword to its once splendor, which is the Moonlight Sword, allowing us to kill King Randolph, who has turned into a tree, a la Bed of Chaos. Since then, he brings that sword back up to Verdite's surface, and he becomes the Holy King. The sword is then stolen by Necron, on the orders of Guyra, because they wanted John Alfred to do a very specific thing, not become king, but to go and kill Seath. As it turns out, Seath and Guyra were fighting for millennia and were tired. So they were looking for a champion to go and slay the other dragon. Guyra thought it was John Alfred Forrester, given that they were, blessed by the Holy Moonlight Sword. Instead, though, Alexander goes in John Alfred's place. It's supposed to be John Alfred who goes. And Alexander uncovers the truth behind the two dragons, that the once, quote, holy dragons are both a couple of assholes who are just trying to kill each other and are using humans as in the middle of all of this. Disillusioned with what is deemed as holy and what isn't deemed as holy, he brings back the Moonlight Sword, and he decides that because the people believe that the Holy Moonlight Sword is holy, that it is holy, and not because of a couple of asshole dragons. Which brings us to now. Because Guyra is murdered at the end of Kingsfield 2, it leaves one dragon left, which immediately takes hold of John Alfred Forrester's soul. So we're just going to go over real fast what my translation of the opening sequence actually says. Hey Stone, how are you? We're just going over previously on Kingsfield, the saga of Verdite. So give me a second, and I'm going to switch windows for a moment, and I'm just going to read it out. So again, Kingsfield, Age Tech added that voiceover, and I'm just going to read it. Wrapped in a deep, dark forest and thick, colorless fog is the country of Verdite. shake off the demons and take the throne. John Alfred was called the Holy King and was greatly beloved. Even when the sword was robbed, it was Prince Alex who recovered it, leading to a peaceful age. But one day the Holy King fell ill, and when he recovered, he was changed. Alexander resolved to fight his best friend, but when he picked up the sword, it broke in two and lost its brilliance. Alexander instead seals his friend within his castle and gathers 4 advisors to his side and bequeaths them with the pieces of the light. Alex himself becomes a pure light mage. The moonlight sword glimmers a little as though it has responded. Eventually, the light was cast from the sword to the castle, sealing the castle and its country. They were sealed together, and the voices of the people continue to echo heavily. Alex has only just enough power to stand up afterwards, calling for the Holy King's son Lyle. By the time my seal is struck down, you must receive the power of the 4 to save the country. Without finishing his message, or his thought, Alex was called to heaven. Young Prince Lyle bears a heavy fate. 10 years have passed since Alex sealed Verdite. And Leon Shore, of which that is Leon Shore, of Kingsfield II, who constructed the Dark Slayer, he tells us, of Alex's magical powers, the storm power of light was lost when the castle was sealed, but Alfred's magical power, because it draws on his royal blood, seems to have passed to you, Lyle. The remaining 4 magical powers are with each archmage. The day is entrusted to you and handed down to you. They should be waiting for you. The 4 magical powers are the keys to unlocking the castle and to unseal the Moonlight Sword. That sword is now sealed in Alex's tomb by the archmages. At the same time, it is said to be proof of Vicarious. You have to find something that you can tell. I also know where they are. No, but it was entrusted to someone by the king should be. About Icarius, I will tell you once the 3 proofs are fulfilled. Will fulfill your destiny. It's what you need to do. The Excellector I gave you will grow and grow with you. There will always be a day when that power will be needed. Come. So that's somewhat, it's like really important, and it's also kind of sad how much they had to change the translation to fit the narrative they had to like set down for themselves. Because as we decided, the end of Kingsfield 2 was a lot more somber than the more triumphant tone that Age Tech went with at the end of Kingsfield 2. Less I am badass and more, Jesus Christ, these asshole dragons are assholes. And again, Leon Shore was the man who created the Dark Slayer at the end of Kingsfield 2. It looks like he followed us from the island of Melanat. Leon got, and as you remember from Kingsfield 2, this picture was at his grandmother's house, hidden away in the graveyard. Now it is here. Alexander lost his magical power of light on the day he placed the Great Seal on the castle. All his life force was put into the seal. Because you have the blood of King Alfred, you have inherited the power as well. The 4 other magical powers have been entrusted to 4 archmages who have been waiting to endow them upon you. You must have the 4 magical powers to obtain the Moonlight Sword, with which you can break the seal of the castle. The 4 archmages put the sword into the tomb of Alexander and sealed it so that none but the one with all 4 powers could come open it. This is what we did in Kingsfield 3 pilot style, by the way. This is what Rodam did. Rodam is renamed to Silviera, who is the name of an executive producer at Age Tech. Besides these powers, you must also obtain the seals of Icarius. The king must have given them to someone for safekeeping. I'll tell you about Icarius later. Just remember that you must have the 3 seals of Icarius in order for you to fulfill your destiny. The Excellector will grow with you and increase in its power just as you do. One day you will need its power. When you have the 3 seals of Icarius, bring them to me along with the sword. The Excellector. So, yes. This picture is supposed to represent when the moonlight is together with Granatiki. It's supposed to represent Alexander and John Alfred together. So most of the translation within the game is correct, but like opening sequence, ending sequences make the translation very, very muddled. So the biggest differences with this game, besides the leap, the graphical leap, is conversation. When you talk to a character, it will record that conversation and then you can refer back to it through the menu without having to go look for them. So that's really useful. Although I would have put it somewhere else other than with your character sheet. This is our character sheet. Our bottomless box and the system and equipment. So let's take a look. We have the Excellector. We have no magic, no shield. We've been given a sword and told, and a sword and a shield, and told to go off westward, young man. Unlike Silviera, who is basically all geared up when they go on their expedition to go find the Moonlight Sword. So that's some of the stuff you gotta know early on. Now we're actually gonna play. So I've been really excited to play this game. I played a little bit on my PS3, make sure that the disc works and stuff like that, and then I ended up playing like 15 hours. Because, you know, that's what you do. So Stone, what have you been up to? How is your Saturday treating you? Oh, right, you can run in this game. And I probably will once I start getting used to where I am. Take that moonstone. So what's behind an invisible door here is a skeleton and a leather shield, which has been the same since Kingsfield 1. Or 1J, rather. I think the skeleton is really, really difficult for me right now, so I'm just going to leave him there. So I'm going to skip out on doing that. Hello. Just had to check on my phone whether I'm actually audible or not. That's another thing that's different with this game. Being hit for a critical will throw you like 20 feet down a set of stairs. Just gonna gather some gold. Once again, the beginning of these games are always the most difficult bits. You have almost no armor. You have almost no health. And, like, a flower will kill you. So this is the High Elf city of Quist. Or, as some people call it, the place at the beginning. It seems like those survivors, those High Elf survivors that once lived on Melanat, have moved to Verdite to live underneath the aegis of the Holy King, John Alfred. But again, now that Seath has taken over his body, and he is effectively dead, everybody's basically in danger. Ooh, that is very important. I think that's what happens at the end of pilot style, that you have to like kill a specific one and it will drop a key. That is a Silviera key, and like I mentioned, in pilot style, those keys are very much like the rhombus keys from Kingsfield 2. One thing I did realize that is of interest for most people is that field is actually just kind of FromSoft speak for world. In the Demon Souls Japanese manual, they call the chapter for each world fields. Posted this on Twitter the other day. So that means that this is actually more called King's World, if fields equal world. Kind of an interesting thing, because like in Bloodborne you get the Milkwood rune and it seeks to turn you into a Lumenwood, which is basically a world unto itself for the ecosystem that lives in the Lumenwood. blood rocks, and dead. Now, the American version makes it seem like this world has been like this for 15 years. The Japanese version only says 10. Basically, King Austin Lyle Forrester is only like 15. Like, he was 5 when stuff happened. We're not going to fight the mushrooms yet. They have a habit of tossing out poison clouds. And I want to make a roundabout before we start doing that. We're basically done on this side of Quist because now we have the Silviera key, and that allows us further entry into the castle walls. Could have sworn Leon had a couple of grasses hanging around here. So up there is a dragon tree fruit. The only way I've seen they can get that one is by dying, because there's a dragon grass up there. And it gives you your first death for free, essentially. Hello. That was rude of you to be just like right under my shoulder. You know, it's like any teenage prince. You have to go mowing the lawn. And that's kind of what you're doing right now. Except the lawn is about, you know, sapient Venus flytraps. The other big thing is, as Leon mentioned, this game has weapons that will level up with you. The Excellector is of note, particularly, because you have to level it up to maximum twice. Because you have to drain all of the souls that you've gained into the Carius item. Let's go see who's in this house first. And, like, not get caught by tree geometry. This is supposed to be Christy Clements. Oh, right. If you see something you like, take it. This stuff is just going to waste with no customers to buy anything. Anyway, I'll probably be dead by the time anyone comes around here again. You know, having a decent weapon around here wouldn't be a bad idea. I wouldn't suggest going out against these demons on purpose, but... Oh. You are? Sorry. Another demon fighter, eh? There hasn't been one of those around here since the great commander, David Silveira, disappeared. David Silveira is also known as Radam. It's funny because the Japanese manual has basically the TLDR pilot style written in English as like a design element across the manual. Silveira is a name they took from Agetex's staff. Like probably most of the names of the NPCs in this game, which is a bit weird, I guess. But now that we've loaded up on some herbs, we're good to keep mowing the lawn. And this guy drops a piece of armor, so we're gonna put that on double quick. Those are arms. So they definitely reward you for killing about as much as you possibly can. Especially on the outset. This is the statue of the hero, which I want to say is supposed to be Silveira. And back here should be our first save point. Yep. So these are save points in Kingsfield 3. They are essentially crystal trees. Dragon tree glass, basically. Interestingly enough, these games are so massive that the save files for these games are 3 blocks, which is huge for a PlayStation 1 game. So again, crystals are really important, and important for like a slightly different reason than they are in Demons. I mean, in Dark Souls. Crystals are very much the realm of humans. The Sacred Land of High Elves quest. Look at this one. Jack Leninger, also an Agetec staffer. I think in Japanese he's called Olek. So, The time has finally come to go to the castle. You must be very careful. Your father will be waiting, and boy is he gonna be mad. You aren't just late for dinner this time. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the defense wall of Silviera on the north side was built by the garrison about 6 years ago. We can be safe today thanks to their work. The other side of the wall is called the Old Battlefield. Not nearly as old as I am, though. That's where the garrison used to fight off the invading monsters. Hardly a garrison at all, I guess. They weren't really trained. There were just a bunch of ragtag soldiers on some idealistic crusade, trying desperately to save their lands and homes. I don't want to think about it anymore. I've been living here for 150 years now, or is it 90? Heck, I can't remember. Anyway, I've never had a bit of trouble in this house. I used to be a baker at the castle, you know, but I never did find that recipe I was looking for. It was recipe pies. Heck. I very much doubt that's what he says in Japanese, but I didn't translate him. Right, that's the store. We're gonna head towards the inn. Say hello to the innkeeper. Hi, Lyle. My, you've grown since the last time your father stopped by. What's your hurry? Please don't leave so soon. I haven't had a guest here for months, and I'd love to hear how you've been. I'll only charge 150G, okay? I don't have that. I like the fact that they put mustache on the guy. One thing that's of interest is that when you stay at the inn, it sometimes gives Lyle visions of what Lyle is supposed to be doing. Very much a clue kind of structure, but it's not something you would know unless you, like, stayed at the inn. And a lot of people will probably be like, okay, fine, it's only 150 and I probably have that by now. And they'll stay and they'll get a clue. One thing that Kingsfield has over Dark Souls is you can step up on top of a small fence. Isn't that amazing? Alright, we've been that way. Okay, now it's time to start fighting these things. And immediately gets stomped on. Much better once you get ranged attacks, or once you unlock the first spell. But in the end, it's worth it because we've got our first helmet. I mean, it's crap, but it's fine enough. Good as time as any. Looks like we have made it all the way back to Leon Shore's house. Right. So we're gonna go back to the statue, save it, and I think we're going to start heading to the entrance to the first Silviera door. So there's a few jokes that I've made that this game essentially follows the same beat structure as Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 is kind of a stealth remake of this game. And you'll see why I say that as we move on. Just like reinsert Lyle as the chosen undead. So we're gonna leave Quist for a moment. We're gonna head into what it really is our first dungeon set. And probably the toughest one. Only because it's the first one. And our third one. I do like the landmarking in this game. Dead bodies, corpses, a wheelbarrow. dead all over the shop. We'll be one of them sooner or later. Those of you who've watched the pilot style video know this character model. My name is Marilyn. I've seen you before, haven't I? You were here with Leon, right? I came here in search of my son, but now I'm stuck here. I can't move forward because of these rotten monsters, and I can't go back. I'd be abandoning my son. Please help me. My son is in danger. Could you get this charm to him? He needs it if he's ever going to be free again. I often have nightmares about my son being immobilized and in agony at the hand of all this wickedness. If you can get the charm to him, he'll finally be okay again. Please. And since it's a FromSoft game, no, her son is not okay. I am an old woman. This is an old woman voice. Alright. Hey Vision, how's it going? Give me the antidote, thank you. So here's your second shop of the game. He's a gravedigger because FromSoft loves gravediggers. / grave robbers. Why would you come to such a dangerous place on purpose? Go home. Don't you know that the monsters are on the prowl again? What can you hope to accomplish here other than losing your own life? Morning stars are good, but we'll be able to find one, I think. Oh, other really interesting thing is you can actually read the item descriptions. You don't have to like look for a fortune teller to like give you the item descriptions. The item descriptions are here. This is the Volgard, a morning star made of silver, special metal for those in sacred professions. It has the power of light. This is the Volgard. It carries. This is actually frame guide. Flame rod. I can read it. I swear. It carries the magical of fire and will increase the power of magic for its user. It has no striking power, but will cast a spell. He's got earth herbs, and he's got a flask for 6 grand, which, you know, you'll have to come get hit later, because again, the game starts with grasses as the healing item, and then you start moving over to flasks filled with healing waters. Again, I'm not sure why Demons doesn't have both like this game. So he's digging up graves, or to either bury people or to like rob them. So we're just gonna run over here. Nothing. Just a box of skeletons. We are now level 5. I like how they shrink and then like deflate. And so we come across our very first Reaper of the game. Jerk. We're just gonna ignore him for now. And just come around here. The very first Reaper gives you a pretty wide berth to just kind of stand at his back, and smack him, and just keep circling around. Most of the Reapers in the game don't give you this much room. But you don't have to hit him as much times. We don't have a new key for there, but we might as well get rid of the Reaper. Get our strength up. I have to see if Reapers are still, quote, made of flesh. They just look like trees. So these plants are really, really dangerous at this juncture. They shoot poison. I believe they're used again in Shadow Tower. And there's our Morning Star. Very good for skeletons. As usual. Don't know what happened there. My RetroArch decided to pause real quick. Thank you for your service, dead sir. So just like in Dark Souls 2, the way you approach is usually not the best way to actually fight them. So running by and then getting an angle on them when you turn around is actually the best. At least that's what I've found. Fighting head-on is usually just a bad idea in this game. Another Silviera key. On this dead lad. Oh, by the way, it's a special effect item, and it doesn't seem to be any lore on Marilyn's charm. We have a new save point, which is really just in time. And I think I'm going to switch to the Morning Star. The best part about the whole thing about the Excellector gaining levels is that you don't actually have to be wearing it to gain levels. It'll gain levels passively. Edmund. Nobody here, but there's another Silviera key. So we'll take that. See if he's got any grasses growing. We picked up an herbal liquid, which is a full heal. Cool. Basically a divine blessing. Doesn't seem to be weak to this crushing damage, but it's still dead. So this next coming part is actually really difficult. You'll have a couple of skeletons. You'll have a couple skeletons and a couple of ghosts. Ghosts like shooting out curse, which makes you take more damage and deal less damage. Last time I went through here, I just ran for it. And you've got these jerks. And it's dark. So that's a ghost. Here is the sun. And that's Marilyn's son. Spell is cast. So her son is caught on the door and is probably used as some sort of object to help seal. I got poisoned while I was like messing with that. Anyway, so this is, you'll see these 4 times if you can make it out, because you can't really make this out on the PS3 version. On the bottom is a teleport seal, which everybody who's ever played a Kingsfield game will recognize, and anybody who's played Demon Souls will recognize. As a teleport seal. O most blessed of days, it is you. Alexander told us of this imminent arrival 10 years ago, so this has come to pass. See, this is translated right, but the opening says 15 years, which is weird. Like, it's really weird how they, like, only messed with the beginning and the ends. My gift is of fire. Allow the powers of fire to burn the flame of courage deep in your heart, Prince Lyle. And with that, we have our first, like, major power-up. We are able to use magic. So now we can use light, which we could have used in that last little segment. And now we have fireball. And I think we're still cursed because jerkwad ghosts. Which is why it's a yellow tinge. So we're just gonna go after that guy first. Oh boy, he just wrecked the crap out of me. I'm gonna have to go buy more herbs. I like that skeletons are very scary at the beginning of this game. That should do it for there. And that should do it there. And a curse just dropped, so that's good. So that's basically the end of the tutorial dungeon. Wait a second. Did I forget a Silviera key? I'm pretty sure I forgot the Silviera key. We run back over. Yep. Silviera keys are fairly... You gotta keep track of your Silviera keys. Probably even a little bit more than the Rhombus key is in KF2. RetroArch making things very nice, actually, compared to how the PS3 runs it. By the way, here's your very your very Dark Souls 2 image. The Castle of Verdite is almost always in the skyline, just like Drain Lake Castle is. It's always in the skyline. Which I think is quite neat. Should probably switch out of the Morning Star now that I think I'm not fighting any skeletons at the moment. Make sure I didn't, like, lose a Silviera key. Always remember the Silviera keys. That's more a self-reminder than it's a reminder to you. Now I think there's that door. That was guarded by the Reaper that we should probably hit up now. Now we can really fight the Reaper. Because you don't... I think the biggest danger is the ranged enemies and then, like, the Reaper. The Reaper is really dangerous in melee, but, like, you can just kind of run by him. And here is the two you just want to run right by. I kind of want to fight them, but I also kind of don't. Basically, Reapers are jerks, and mean, we'll kill them. But I'm not sure if I should do that now. They do drop a couple of moonstones. Always handy. Alright. Let me check the bottom before we keep going. Okay, so that's the entrance to another dungeon. And we come to our first fountain. And holy, you can tell because herbal grasses are growing. And there is a save point right back here. So we've already broke 100, which is nice to see. Ah, damn it. Alright, hold on. Ow. And our first bow and arrow, which means we should be getting the bow and arrow sometime soon. I think it's in this area. The world famous broken swords. We get a pretty cool sword. I think that's the bastard sword. Oh, just the long sword. Okay. So over here we have a couple of ghosts shooting curse missiles. Should be 1, 2. These are much harder to see on my television. Ow. Got 'em. For our troubles, we got a new plate. Dang it. Freaking ghosts. Lots of ghosts in Verdite. John Alfred did a lot of damage. Or shall we say Seath did a lot of damage. As soon as he took over John Alfred's body. Pretty much decimated the army, decimated the population. And there's really only a ragtag group of survivors left. I don't think we have any more Silviera keys. Just like 12 arrows. So we can't go through there. But there is this passage that we didn't do, so let's do that. This is going to take us to the next area. I think the music changes. And right on cue. Okay, I think... Okay, Silviera key. Path of poison. Reaper. I don't want to get near the skeletons. I definitely want to clear the Reaper first. Because Reapers hurt. Ow. for Silviera key. And who do we find here? More arrows. I've been living here for over 5 years now. When the commander headed for the castle, I had to remain here alone because I was wounded. Do you have any idea what it means to be a soldier, to be left alone? Do you understand the anguish I've gone through? How deeply I regret not dying from that wound? After my wound healed, I began to dig graves for my fallen comrades. But I've been waiting for my commander's return for over 5 years now, and I'm completely exhausted. I wish I'd just be granted death I deserved so long ago. In these underground barracks, Commander Silviera made several traps for training purposes. Not much time for training, I'm afraid, but most of the soldiers died before they even knew about the training or the traps. In front of the jail, you could see a target. All you would have to do is pull back the bowstring, and the arrow would hit the target. You can't really call them soldiers, most of them are common villagers. They made poor fighting men, but they all loved Silviera. When the villagers made the statue of the commander, I remember them saying something about setting a trap for the commander's sword. It was a trap to test the next recipient, so that anyone smart enough and strong enough to figure out the trap could obtain the sword. The Silvierian was another of the commander's swords. It was one of the most prized swords, given only to the best swordsman. It was awarded along with the title of Sword Master. I believe the sword was given to the commander by another commander, Lord Veyrak. Sword Master Hauser, the king's father, used the same sword. Our commander was a brave warrior with special ability to devise complicated traps. Is his name Sen? Sword Master was his name Sen? You have anything else to say, my crestfallen friend? No. You can go back to being crestfallen. The captain's room. What do we find in the captain's room? Besides a save point. the royal emblem. Take note of that, because it will be important later. It will be on the quiz. Let's utilize this save point. So we came in that way. We need to go this way. No darkness, thank you. So these sorcerer guys are not as bad as the guys with the sword and shield, but they will cast darkness at you and it's really annoying. They also have funny skeletons. Apparently they can use their ribs as a weapon. So this speaks to a lot of the desperation of the army. The villagers, they wanted to protect themselves and they weren't very good at it, but the fighting spirit was there. Hello. Oh, I have only one more earth herb. So I think that'll probably be the start of next episode. Is going back and buying some more earth herbs. Yeah. Death the Skelebros. Pretty much ran out of healing. though maybe not as disastrous as we might have believed. Robert Shreve. What a tiny house. I believe that well is death at this juncture. Good to see you, Prince Lyle. I've been waiting for you to give you the Eye of Icarius. The king gave it to me to give to you, but, well, a fairy stole the eye several years ago. She tricked me and left me only with the staff of Vard. Please, I beg of you, have mercy. She was sent by Vard himself, chief of the woods. I've been to the woods several times in vain to try to retrieve the eye, but I could never find Vard. I kept getting lost, and I was forced to give up my search when the demons came. Here, take this. It's the staff of Vard. Please take it and recover the Eye of Icarius from Vard. Thanks. Sorry I failed you, Lyle. I don't know what to say. I certainly can't face the king after all these years. I let the Eye of Icarius be taken from me. The king will never forgive me. I think the king has other concerns. Like, really. Just, keep playing. So, welcome to the Forest of Vard. This is a hedge maze. Oh, hello. I'm gonna switch my equipment. You know, one at a time. There's enough of Lyle to go around. By the way, it does feel a lot less like you're driving a car. It does feel like you are piloting a person. So the gimmick here is that the Staff of Art is actually just a key. And using the key will drop the tree stumps that serve as gates. In the center, you have another fountain. And I think back here there should be a save point. There's a couple of sub-bosses in this hedge maze. There's a huge mushroom. There's a couple of reapers. Thankfully, if you know where the fountain is, being poisoned is not a big deal. And just drink some water until it runs out. The signposts are... They leave a little bit to be determined. A little bit to be desired. I'll take that, thank you. Oh boy. I want a hedge maze in the next... I want a hedge maze in Elden Ring. You want a hedge maze in Elden Ring? Okay, so since it is getting to be 2 hours, I'm going to save it here, and I think I'm going to call it a stream for today. We've made it all the way to Vard's Hedge Maze. We actually did kind of a lot. We got our first spell, and we are well on our way through. We need our more Silviera keys to open up more sections of the map, but we are actually in a place where a huge swath of the map is open to us now. The hedge maze is kind of like the middle left, and it leads to another small town within the city, within the metropolis of Verdite, the kingdom of Verdite. So we're going to save it here. I am going to call it an evening, and thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time on Kingsfield 3. Bye, everybody.